shepherd. Can you hear my voice? Trust and obey me. It's your choice. I'll give you water to quench your thirst, and I'll give you bread if you love me first. I am the shepherd. Can you hear my voice? Trust and obey me. It's your choice. Why were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe? Why were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe? I am the living word, yeah. 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 I am the Aleph and I am the Tau. I am the Torah from the mouth of Yahuah. I am the beginning and I am the end. And there are two houses that I have come to make. I am the Aleph and I am the Tau. I am the Torah from the mouth of Yahuah. I am the beginning and I am the end. And there are two houses that I have come to mend. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Drink, drink, drink from the fountain of heaven. Come partake from the bread at my table. Drink, drink, drink from the fountain of heaven. Come partake from the bread at my table. Drink, drink, drink from the fountain of heaven. Come partake from the bread at my table. Drink, drink, drink from the fountain of heaven. Come partake. Awake, awake, oh sleeper, arise, shine, for your light has come. Awake, awake, oh sleeper, arise, shine, for your light has come. Awake, awake, oh sleeper, arise, shine, for your light has come. Awake,
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have everybody here. I pray everybody... Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Brother Lachlan. I pray everybody's had a blessed day today, or morning, or afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We all observe the same Shabbat day. I love it. And all praise to the Most High Yahuah. So today we're going to be going over my updated calendar section in the article I wrote up. Actually, let me share the link in chat for everybody. And so we're going to go reading over it a bit today. And then I believe it's next week. Marissa is going to be doing part 3 of her presentation about the calendar. And it's going to be about the luminaries and things like that, the stars. So pretty excited for that. But Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome.
Jimmy, it's the Shabbat where I am now.
Yes, correct.
I'm in the future.
So that's what Sister Marissa was speaking about in her last presentation. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week. Really fascinating stuff, and I believe she's going to get more into that in part 3, which should be coming up next week on the 28th, I believe.
We are told that we're in the future, but in fact, with the equinox, we're behind. We're at the end. Like they get their equinox, let's say on the 19th or the 20th. We'll get ours on either the 20th or the 21st. So that proves that we are not in the future. We are actually in their past or whatever. Like, yeah, it's not the way we've been told. You truly are upside down in a different way.
So our Monday this year is Shabbat, basically.
That's the way it looks to be. If theirs is, if theirs is Sunday, ours is Monday. Instead of ours being Sunday, sorry, I'm confused now.
No.
Too early.
Yeah.
No worries. So basically it's basically sunrise for you guys over there in Australia. Here in the US, probably, well, here specifically in Arizona, it's noon, so it's the afternoon. And then where Ken is at in the UK, it's actually, sunset. So we're all on that same exact Sabbath day.
Okay. I must have missed this part last presentation.
Yeah, no worries. It's here. Actually, it's the last one we did. I can share it later on in the chat.
Yeah, I'll have to rewatch it because I like it.
Oh, go ahead. Here, I'll grab it right now for you.
Yeah, is there Marissa's presentations? Because I wanted to send them to someone too, and I couldn't find them.
Yeah, actually, I made a whole playlist on my channel, and here I'll send last week.
On YouTube?
Yeah. So.
Okay, easy.
There. And then.
That's cool. I'll find it.
Here, I got it. And then here's a playlist of. So there's 3 videos in there so far. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Natalie. You're on it. No worries.
Hey, did you see the 9/11 type shooting stuff over here or whatever? The terrorist attack?
No, interesting.
Full side.
Yeah. apparently
Typical Ada Hanukkah celebration, man.
oh wait, yeah, no, I did see something about that. Yes, I did actually. I heard about that.
Yeah, so Australia's gonna get crunched down on by the Jews, man. Anti-Semitism laws.
Yeah. Did you get the response from Benjamin Netanyahu basically blaming the Australian government for allowing it to happen?
Oh, no, I haven't seen that. But yeah, the Jews are going to be milking this one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Apparently he wrote to your Prime Minister 4 months ago, saying that because you've accepted Palestine as a state, you're going to be you're encouraging anti-Semitism. So when this happened, unfortunately, it was today, wasn't it? Benjamin Netanyahu was quick to get on the stand on the microphone and play the poor little Semite Jew sort of. Do you know what I mean? I told you this was going to happen.
Yeah, it's so set up.
It is, isn't it? It is so set up. Yeah.
It's like Port Arthur, like with Martin Bryant. He had the mental IQ of like a 10-year-old, and that's how Australia got de-armed. And Australia, them Australian Black Hawk pilots all ended up dying overseas, and that wasn't coincidence. And one of them's escaped up north, and he's living dark away from the government, man, because they're trying to kill him. And he knows what happened at Port Arthur. And yeah, it wasn't that guy, that's for sure. They're all marked shooters, like trained by the government to kill, to set up Australia to de-arm them. Pretty hectic.
Wow. That's their plan to disarm everybody, cause chaos and division, and yeah, it's all in their plans, unfortunately. But man, I'm praying for everybody involved over there for sure. Hey,
I was looking at brochures in Kmart the other day, and it was 1970, and you could buy guns for $30 or whatever in a brochure, and now it's criminal. Hectic.
Yeah, and yeah, sometimes that's how it plays out. But yeah, we got to be very careful because of YouTube, though. They already got me on a strike, so. But yeah, it's, we're seeing the signs of the times, really, is what it is. Hasatan knows his time is short. He's fighting hard against Yahuah's people. He's causing all these wars and rumors of wars, all these things. And we see it coming together for the whole, one world beast system of things is really what it is. And yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Heidi. Good to see you. All right, so before we begin, actually, let me say a prayer, and yeah, we will go over chapter 13 of my write-up, and it's one I had just redone to, match all the very important information about the North. So let's get into it. Father Abba Yahuah, we come to you in prayer to ask for your guidance and your blessings as we read and we study through your word, and we see the importance of your calendar. And we just want to thank you so very much so for bringing us all together to be able to fellowship and study and learn so much more than we could on our own. And where two or more are gathered, that's where you will dwell, Father. And We can feel that Ruach here especially. And I wanted to pray also for those who are struggling through the trials and tribulations, the enemy attacks, whatever it may be. Please put a hedge of protection around us all and continue to strengthen us and guide us and give us that strength we need to endure to the end. And I pray to you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let it be so. Okay, so this is going to be chapter 13, and yeah, the link was shared right above there, yeah. So the link is there in the chat, and you know, if you're watching this later on YouTube, it's always going to be in the description there. So searching through scriptures and through much fasting, praying, and study, a small group of us brothers and sisters came together and believe we have determined the method used to divide the years and keep each year aligned to the heavenly markers without drifting behind or ahead of them. And it can all be shown through scripture without a lot of assumption, guessing, or explaining away with words, and without reaching for things outside of scripture or twisting and stretching verses out of context. It's truly very simple. The importance of the north is something many don't understand fully. So in Hebrews 12:22, we learn the city of the living Elohim is Mount Zion, which is heavenly Jerusalem, and that's in the north. So Psalm 48 tells us exactly what that means. And we have Psalm 48 here. So great is Yahuah, and greatly to be praised in the city of our Elohim. His Kodesh mountain, pretty on high. The joy of all the earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north. The city of the great sovereign. Elohim is in her citadels. He is known as her refuge. For look, the sovereigns met. They passed by together, and they saw. So they marveled. And they were alarmed, and they hastened away, trembling, took a hold of them there. Pain as of a woman in labor. With an east wind you break the ships of Tarshish. And we have heard, so we have seen in the city of Yahuah of hosts, in the city of our Elohim. Elohim establishes her forever, Selah. We have, though, O Elohim, of your kindness, in the midst of your Hayakal, your temple, according to your name, O Elohim. So is your praise to the ends of the earth. Your right hand is filled with righteousness. And let Mount Zion rejoice, and let the daughters of Yehudah exult, because of your right rulings. Walk about Zion, and go all around her, and count her towers. Apply your heart to her rampart, and go through her citadels, that you report it to the coming generation. For this Elohim is our Elohim, forever and ever. He himself leads us even to death. Praise Yah. So Mount Zion is no mere mound in 1948, Rothschild, Israel. It's the chief of the mountains, raised above all the hills, the Jerusalem to which pilgrimages are made during the millennial kingdom, just as Isaiah 2 verses 2 through 3 prophesied. But if Mount Zion is the city of Yahuah, New Jerusalem is the joy of the whole earth, then where is it? So 2 Esdras 13, part of the original KJV, also found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, answers that question. So 2 Esdras 13, verses 5 through 10. And after this I looked, and see, a crowd of men without number was gathered together from the four winds of the Shamayim, to overcome the man who came out of the sea. But I looked, and see, he had carved image of he had carved himself a great mountain and rose upon it. And I tried to see the region or place from which that mountain was carved, and I could not. And after this I looked, and see, all those who were gathered together to overcome him were very afraid, and yet were bold to fight. And look, as he saw the violence of the crowd that came, he neither lifted up his hand, or held a sword, or any weapon of battle, but I only saw that he sent what looked like blasts of fire out of his mouth, and a flaming breath out of his lips, and he threw out a storm of sparks out of his tongue. And we see right there Yahusha. So it says Yahusha is currently on Mount Zion with the saints, but Mount Zion will only appear during the Gog-Magog battle. Just as we can't see what's deep in the ocean, neither can we see Mount Zion until it's time for it to be revealed. And then fire will come down from Yahuah and burn the attacking armies. So compare these verses for yourself. So we have, Revelation 20, 8 through 9. And he shall go out to lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle, whose number is as of the sand of the sea. And they came up over the breadth of the earth, and surrounded the camp of the Kodashim and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of the Shamayim, and consumed them. And we have 2 Ezras, also known as 4 Ezra, 7:26. For behold, the time will come, when the signs which I have foretold you will come to pass, that the city which is now not seen shall appear, and the land which is hidden shall be disclosed. So we see right there the hidden land in the north. So Hebrews 12:22 through 29. But you have drawn near to Mount Zion, and to the city of the living Elohim, to Jerusalem of the Shamayim, to the myriads of messengers, to the entire gathering and assembly of the firstborn, having been enrolled in the Shamayim, and to Elohim the judge of all, and to the spirits of righteous men made perfect, and to Yahusha the mediator of a renewed covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling, which speaks better than Habel. Take heed not to refuse the one speaking. For if those did not escape who refused the warning on earth, much less we who turn away from him, from the Shamayim, whose voice shook the earth then, but now has promised, saying, Yet once more I shall shake not only the earth, but also the Shamayim. And this, yet once more, makes clear the removal of what is shaken, as having been made, so that the unshaken might remain. Therefore, receiving an unshakable reign, let us hold the favor through which we serve Elohim pleasingly, with reverence and awe. For indeed our Elohim is a consuming fire. So we see Enoch and Jubilees also describe where Mount Zion is, and it's in the north. So Jubilees 8:19, and he knew that the Garden of Eden is the most Kodesh place, and the dwelling of Yahuah, and Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. Right there in the north, these three were created as Kodesh places facing each other. So Zion is the center or the navel of the earth, and where Yahuah's throne itself is and New Jerusalem are placed. So we have Jubilees 4:26 here. For Yahuah has 4 places on the earth, the Garden of Eden, and the mountain to the east, and this mountain on which you are this day, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion, which shall be Kodesh in the new creation, for a Kodeshah of the earth. And through it the earth shall be Kodesh from all guilt, and its uncleanness throughout the generations of the world. And Enoch 26, 1 through 2. Excuse me. And I went forth from there to the middle of the earth, and I saw a Baruch place in which there were trees with branches, abiding and blooming. And there I saw a Kodesh mountain, and underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. So we see Enoch going to the middle of the earth, seeing all the trees and such that were in the garden there. So as we have read, Mount Zion is in the center of the earth, the north. This is the place of Yahuah's throne and New Jerusalem. And it is where the years begin and end as well, as we will read. So Enoch 41, verses 5 through 9. And I saw the chambers of the sun and moon, and where they proceed and where they come again, and their magnificence return, and how one is superior to the other, and their stately course, and how they do not leave their course, and they do not add to their course, and they do not take away from it. And they keep trust with each other, in accordance with the oath by which they are bound together. So just like a husband and wife, there's the masculine and the feminine, and the son is the masculine, the leader, but they help each other. And first, the sun goes forth and traverses its path, according to the commandment of Yahuah of hosts. And mighty is his name, forever and ever. And after that I saw the hidden and the visible path of the moon. And she accomplishes the course of her path in that place, day by day and night by night. The one holding a position opposite to the other before Yahuah of hosts. And they shall give thanks and praise, and do not rest. For unto them their thanksgiving is rest. And so we notice there it first reads, and first goes forth the sun. For the sun changes often for a barakah or a curse. And the course of the path of the moon is light to the righteous, and darkness to the sinners, in the name of Yahuah, who made a separation between the light and the darkness, and divided the spirits of men, and strengthened the spirits of the righteous, in the name of his righteousness. For no messenger delays, and no power is able to delay. For he appoints a right ruler for them all, and he rightly rules them all before him. So this chamber of the sun and the moon is in the north. Like Marissa was describing on her presentation, that roller coaster, that canopy where everybody gets on and off of it. So from above, you don't see underneath that canopy. Basically the same concept here. So Enoch 72, 4 through 5. And first there goes forth the great light, named the sun, and its circumference is like the circumference of the Shamayim. And he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. And the chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives. And the sun goes down from the Shamayim and returns through the north in order to reach the east. And he is so guided that he comes to that portal and shines in the face of the Shamayim. And we also have Enoch 34, 1. And from there I went towards the north, to the ends of the earth. And there I saw a great and magnificent object at the ends of the whole earth. And Enoch 77, verses 3 through 7. And the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, and the second contains seas of water, and the abysses, and forests and rivers, and darkness and clouds. And the third part contains the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth. And from there comes forth frost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. There it is right there. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them coming from the west pours its waters into the great sea. And these 2 come from the north to the sea and pour their waters into the eastern sea in the east, and the remaining 4 come forth on the side of the north to their great own sea, and 2 of them to the eastern sea, and 2 into the great sea, and discharge themselves there, and some say, into the desert. Pretty amazing stuff there, and that will match, the Mercator map with the 4 rivers in the north, separated, 4 islands separated by the 4 rivers in the north, with Mount Zion right in the center. So verse 4 specifically reads, "And from there comes forth frost, days, seasons, and years pass away," in reference to the north and its importance, not only for where the years begin and end, but the very location of Mount Zion itself. This is the divider day that separates the years. So Yahuah works in divisions. He divides light from darkness. He divides the days. He divides the weeks, the months, and the seasons. So why wouldn't there be a yearly divider as well? And this divider day keeps the calendar in sync with the heavenly markers each year, without drifting behind them or ahead, and then adding 7 days to the year to catch back up. So Yahuah didn't give us the heavenly signs and then tell us to wait until a Wednesday, or let the signs drift forward or backwards each year to catch back up to them. Nor did the Gregorian week as we know it today exist when Yahuah created everything in the beginning. Why would the sons of Zadok align creation week to a Wednesday that didn't even exist at their time? And the next chapter actually goes a lot into detail about the exact type of week that they used back then at Messiah's time. So Jubilees 2:9. "And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth, for days, for Sabbaths, for months, for festivals, for years, for Sabbaths of years, and Jubilees, and all the seasons of the years." So we see the sun is the great sign for all of these things, and right there written in Jubilees chapter 2. And we can also see there is a sign for when the weekly Sabbath day will begin. And Jubilees 2:16 through 18. "And he completed all his work on the 6th day, all that is in the heavens and on the earth and in the seas and in the abysses, in the light and the darkness and everything. He gave us," so the angels speaking here, "a great sign, the day of Sabbath, that we should work 6 days and should rest on the Sabbath from all work. And the angels of the face of the angels that cry, Holy to us, these are 2 great kinds. And he said that we should observe the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth." And Jubilees 2:21, "And so he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should guard the Sabbath with us on the 7th day." So as we just read in verse 9, that great sign is going to be the sun. So on the 7th day to eat, to drink, and to barak him, who has created all matters, as he has barak and kodesh unto himself, a treasured possession, a people above all peoples, and that they should guard the Shabbat together with us. So we guard the Shabbat together with Yahuah and all the angels, not on any specific Gregorian weekday. So here in verse 21 of Jubilees, we see he created a sign on which day we should guard the Shabbat. Verse 9 shows us it's the sun. And the sun is the marker or the straight line which marks the divider day. This is when the spring equinox happens each and every year, when the sun, the moon, and the stars were created to track the months. The next day is day 1 of month 1, on day 4 of creation week. And 3 days later is always the Shabbat. So why would there be a sign the angel of Yahuah is mentioning in Jubilees? if the Sabbath was always a never-ending cycle of 7 days? And we have Jubilees 50, verses 1 through 4 here. And after this law I made known to you the days of the Sabbaths in the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. And I told you of the Sabbaths of the land on Mount Sinai. And I told you the Jubilee years, in the Sabbaths of years. But the year thereof I have not told you, until you enter the land which you are to possess. And the land also shall keep its Sabbaths, while they dwell upon it, and they shall know the Jubilee year. Therefore I have ordained for you the yearly Sabbath, and the years, and the Jubilees. So we see a big clue here, the yearly Shabbat. There are 49 Jubilees from the days of Adam until this day, and 1 week and 2 years, and there are still 40 years to come for learning the commands of Yahuah, until they pass over into the land of Canaan, crossing the Yarden to the west. Yet Sabbath is not a never-ending cycle of 7 days, not each year. So the sun's analemma, and from vernal equinox to vernal equinox, also show us 365 days in between. And then here in Genesis 5, verses 23 through 24, so all the days of Hanoch were 365 years. And Hanoch walked with Elohim. Then he was no more, for Elohim took him. So that's a big clue there. 365 years, 365 days. So as we can see, Enoch walked the earth for 365 years. The divider day is day, quote-unquote, 365, although it is not counted in the numbering of days, the months, or years. Also, Jubilees tells us the yearly 364-day count begins on day 4 and is numbered in 52 weeks of 7 days. So basically we start the counting at 0 is what it is. So Jubilees 6, verses 30 through 33. And all the days of the command shall be 52 weeks of days, and these shall make the entire year complete, which is the 52 weeks of 7 days. And thus it is engraved and ordained on the tablets of the Shamayim. And there's no neglecting this command for a single year or from year to year. So what command do we not neglect? The 52 weeks of 7 days. There's not a 53rd week in there at all, anywhere in here. And we're supposed to observe it year to year, every year. And you shall command the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, the 364 days. And these shall constitute a complete year. And they shall not disturb its time from its days and from its festivals. For all shall fall out in them according to their witness. And they shall not leave out any day or disturb any festivals. But if they neglect and do not observe them according to his command, then they shall disturb all their seasons, and the years shall be dislodged from this order, and they shall neglect their laws. So we see each year it's this 364-day count. So why would he have to specify it so many times if there was only exactly 364 days each year? It's because people forget to start the counting at 0. And there are many who try to do a 364-day only. And the problem with that is each year they're going to drift backwards, slowly behind into the season prior. So you start at spring, and then like 20 years later, your, first fruits, it's going to happen in the wintertime. And you can't have a first fruits in the middle of winter. It just does not work. So this divider day, this day out of time, it's very important. So we have Jubilees 50, verse 4. And this is kind of a repeat from above, but so it's just going to go into more detail about the yearly Shabbat. So therefore I have ordained for you the yearly Shabbatoth, which is the yearly Sabbath divided, and the years and the Jubilees. And then it continues on to speak about Adam again. But this one is real key here as well. So Lamentations 2:6. He has demolished his booth like a garden, and has destroyed his place of meeting. Yahuah has made the appointed times and Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion, and despises sovereigns and priests in his raging displeasure. So how can he make these times be forgotten and not remembered if it was just a continuous 7-day cycle that repeats year after year? All they would have to do is count to 7, and they would know. Yeah, there you go, Sister Natalie. Yeah. A testimony how the 364 days only does not work. Yeah, and a lot of them try to use the full moon conjunction and things like that. And yeah, Sister Marissa did an excellent job on showing us what the moon is actually for and how it's used. So this clearly shows the Sabbath day was lost. How can this be if it was a constant 7-day endless cycle from year to year? Why would there need to be a sign each year to know exactly when the 7th-day Sabbath was, if there wasn't a yearly division? Two dots, sister. No problem. All right, so we have scroll 4Q324D in column 1. So the beginning of the first month on day 4, which is Tekufa, the beginning of that circuit or cycle, the cycle of the year. Exodus 27:13, to the east side of the courtyard towards the sunrise is 50 cubits. And same thing, Exodus 38:13, and the east side towards the sunrise was also 50 cubits long. And Exodus 40:1-2, and Yahuah spoke to Moshe, saying, on the first day of the first month, you are to raise up the dwelling place of the tent of meeting. So how would they know what the first day of the first month was if there wasn't a sign to show exactly when that was? So 2 Chronicles 29, verses 3 and 17. So in the first year of his reign, in the first month, he opened up the doors of the house of Yahuah and repaired them. And verse 17, and they began to set apart on the first day of the first month. And on the 8th day of the first month, they came to the porch of Yahuah, and they set apart the house of Yahuah in 8 days. And on the 16th day of the first month, they had finished. Again, so how would they know when the first day of the first month was if there wasn't a sign that they were looking for? So 1 Samuel 25. And David said to Jonathan, see, tomorrow is the head of the month, and I ought to sit with the sovereign to eat. But let me go, and I shall hide in the field until the 3rd day at evening. So this one is big in 2 ways. First, we see David saying, see, tomorrow is the head of the month. So what's he saying, see, look at? Could it be that straight line shadow of the equinox? And then we also see the 3 days later from the first day of the month. That would be the Shabbat day. So Exodus 12:1-2. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe and Aharon in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This month is the beginning of months for you. It is the first of the year for you. And Job 38, 4-5. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. Who appointed its measurements, if you know? Or who stretched the line upon it? And then James 1, 16-17. Do not go astray, my beloved brothers. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no change or turning shadow. So who stretched the line upon it? No turning shadow? So on the equinox, even just using a stick and marking the shadow throughout the day, the end of the shadow, the sun's shadow will cast a straight line during that day on the equinox. And the shadow will curve or shift on other days and not be straight. So just like the menorah, the shadow will curve or bend one way, and then you get to the equinox and it goes straight. Then the shadow starts curving and bending the other way. Really amazing. We've definitely covered all that. I actually go over that here in a previous chapter. I think it's chapter 11 or 12. But we go over exactly their claims about the priestly cycle being determined by the moon. And the verse that they use to try to back that up is 4Q320, I believe. 320 or 321. But it talks about observing blank from evening to morning. Well, we see Abraham in Jubilees observes the stars from evening to morning. The same verbiage, the same everything is used there. So people want to insert moon there when it's actually stars.
Yeah, but I'm asking about the priestly cycle, that they say that you can't break the priestly cycle. It has to be, otherwise the priestly cycle somebody'd have to do 8 days. That's what I get a lot in the community around where I'm at that does 7 days. They do all kinds of calendars, but does that make sense?
Yeah, no. So actually Marissa's going to be covering that in her presentation as well. But we see there is an 8-day cycle in that priestly ordination, because they have to do it a complete 7 days, and on the 8th day they'll be ready. So that's a big clue to it there as well.
Okay.
No, thank you for your question. That's definitely going to be answered in more detail. Oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly, Sister Natalie. So they say it's all these different, yearly cycles, and this year you add like 7 days, and that you add 7 days, and none of that is actually written in there. Nowhere can you find to add 7 days to the year. And like we just read in Jubilees, it says 364 days every year, year to year. That's how it should be observed. There's not a 53rd week of 7 days anywhere. Thank you, Sister Natalie. Awesome. So, let's see. Okay, so starting here is where I left off. So 1 Samuel proves Yahuah's true Zadok calendar as well. So we can see a story develop over 4 days. Verse 5 starts the day before the head of the month, on the divider day, and the story ends on Shabbat, which is 3 days after the head of the month. So 1 Samuel 25, and this is just to cover it again. We just read it above, but and David said to Yehonathan, see, tomorrow is the head of the month, and that word there is HaChodesh. And I ought to sit with the sovereign to eat. But let me go, and I shall hide in the field until the 3rd day at evening. So what is David seeing to know the next day is the head of the month? It is the great sign of the sun, the equinox. And so continuing in 1 Samuel 20, verses 18 and 19. So Yehonathan said to him, tomorrow is the head of the month, and again HaChodesh, and you shall be missed, because your seat shall be empty. And on the third day, go down quickly, and you shall come to the place where you hid on the day of the deed, and shall remain by the stone Etzel. And actually, Sister Libby has a lot to add about that Etzel stone as well. And then continuing in 1 Samuel, chapter 20, verses 24 through 27. And David's hid in the field. And when the head of the month, the HaChodesh, came, the sovereign sat down by the food to eat. And the sovereign sat on his seat, as at other times, on a seat by the wall, with Yehonathan standing and Abner sitting by Shaul's side. But the place of David was empty. But Shaul did not speak anything that day, for he thought, is it an accident? He is not clean, for he has not been cleansed. And that's actually another clue on how you have to be clean on the Shabbat day. And it came to be the next day, the second of the month, that David's place was empty. And Shaul said to Yehonathan his son, why did the son of Yishai not come to eat, either yesterday or today? Verses 34 through 35. And Yehonathan rose up from the table in the heat of displeasure, and ate no food for the second day of the month. And he was grieved for David, because his father put him to shame. And it came to be in the morning, which is day 3, that Yehonathan went out to the field at the time appointed, with David, and a small youth was with him. And then David departs. He heads to the city, leaving Yehonathan. But before continuing, let's explain why the head of the 4 seasonal months are important. And Jubilees 6 explains that they are the 4 Noah-ordained days, marking the events of the flood. So we have Jubilees chapter 6, verses 23 and 24. So on the head of the first month, which is again HaChodesh, and the head of the 4th month, and the head of the 7th month, and on the head of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a witness forever. And Noah ordained them for himself as festivals for the generations forever, and so that they have become thereby a memorial to him. So Noah ordained them, and then Yahuah put them on the heavenly tablets themselves, ordaining them. And we see for how long? Forever. And Jubilees 12:16. And so this is what I was speaking about earlier, actually. So in the 6th week, in the 5th year, Abraham sat up throughout the night on the head of the month, of the 7th month, to observe the stars from the evening to the morning, in order to see what would be the character of the year with regard to the rains, and he was alone as he sat and observed. So there we see it, he observed the stars from evening to morning. Also, these verses in Ezekiel and Amos show that the 4 heads of the 4 seasonal months are Shabbat days, just like the weekly Shabbat, where there's no work, no buying or selling. And the days Noah ordained in Jubilees, chapter 6, as a memorial. So this is also going to show how we have no more than 7 days between Shabbats. So Ezekiel 46:1, and thus said the Adon Yahuah, the gate of the inner courtyard facing east is shut the 6 days of work, but on the Shabbat it's opened, and on the head of the months, the HaChodesh, it is opened. So we see that HaChodesh is related exactly to these 4 seasonal heads of months, just as it's written in Jubilees as well. And then we have Amos 8, 5 through 6, saying, when does the head of the months, the HaChodesh, pass, so that we sell grain, and the Sabbath, so that we trade our wheat, to make the ephah small and the shekel large, and to falsify the scales by deceit, and to buy the poor for silver, and the needy for a pair of sandals, and to sell the chaff of the wheat. So these 2 verses are important because we see these gates, they're always open, they're always shut, and they're only opened on the head of the months and the Shabbats. Same thing here in Amos, we see they can't buy or sell on these HaChodesh, heads of months. So therefore, this is proving the 4 seasonal heads of months described in both Enoch and Jubilees, and their importance. So let's continue in 1 Samuel, when David arrived in the city on the 3rd day, which is Shabbat day. So this is going to be 1 Samuel 21, verses 5 and 6. And David said to the Kohen, the priest, and said to him, truly, women have been kept from us for about 3 days since I came out. And the vessels of the young men are Kodesh. And it's an ordinary mission. And also, it was Kodesh and the vessel today. And then the Kohen gave him the Kodesh bread, for there was no bread there except for the showbread, which had been taken from before Yahuah, in order to put the hot bread on it that day. It is taken away. So we're going to be reading that, the cold bread, you can't leave cold bread out on a Shabbat day. It was always taken and replaced with the warm bread. And we're going to see through scriptures here, we're going to prove that out through scriptures here in the next verses. So we know this day that David eats the bread is a Sabbath, because it says he's switching it out for the hot bread that very same day, making it so David could eat the cold ones that were being switched out. And we're going to see this, excuse me, in Leviticus 24, verses 7 through 8. And you shall put clear frankincense on each row, and it shall be on the bread as a remembrance portion, an offering made by fire to Yahuah. And on every Sabbath he is to range it before Yahuah continually, from the children of Israel, an everlasting covenant. So speaking about the bread, on every Sabbath, it's supposed to be arranged continually, meaning continually hot. Keep bringing the hot loaves out. Also 1 Chronicles 9:32, and some of their brothers of the sons of the Kohathites were over the showbread to prepare every Sabbath. So we see right there in Chronicles as well, these certain priests, they were put over the showbread to be preparing them every Sabbath, so the bread doesn't get cold. They're always replacing it with the warm bread. And then 2 Chronicles 2:4, see, I am building a house for the name of Yahuah my Elohim, to Kodesh it to him, to burn before him sweet incense, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings made morning and evening, on the Sabbathoth, and on the heads of the months. And there we see the HaChodesh again. And on the appointed times of Yahuah our Elohim. This is for Yisrael forever. So this absolutely proves the Zadok calendar as Yahuah's calendar through scriptures. And then we have Psalm 19, verses 1 through 9 here. This one's really important as well, actually. So the Shamayim are proclaiming the esteem of Elohim, and the firmament is declaring the work of his hands, which is creation. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge, which is day and night separated, beginning in the mornings. And there is no speech, and there are words, and their voice is not heard. So the luminaries are our silent witnesses. They are the scrolls in the Shamayim that tell us about our years. And then here we go. Their line has gone out throughout all the earth. So there we see the line again, the straight line shadow. And their words to the end of the world. In them, he put up a tent for the sun, and it's like a bridegroom coming out of his room. So that's that chamber in the north that we were talking about. It rejoices like a strong man to run the path, which is the 364 days. And its rising is from one end of the Shamayim, and its circuit to the other end, which are the solstices and the equinoxes. And nothing is hidden from its heat. The Torah of Yahuah is perfect, bringing back the being. The witness of Yahuah is trustworthy, making wise the simple. And the orders of Yahuah are straight, rejoicing the heart. The command of Yahuah is clear, enlightening the eyes. And the reverence of Yahuah is clean, standing forever. The right rulings of Yahuah are true, and they are righteous altogether. So we see it's the sun, moon, and stars that are speaking, but have no voice. And they're showing us the yearly markers and the seasonal dividers. So this is from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Community Rule, 1QS, column 10, verses 3 through 5. So at the entry of the constellation in the days of the heads of the months, together with their rotations during their stations, renewing each other, it is a great day for the Holy of Holies, and an omen, and then we have vacate, which means missing texts, of the opening of his everlasting mercies, for the beginnings of the constellations in every future age, at the commencement of the months in their constellations, and of the holy days in their sequence as a reminder in their constellations. So we're seeing right here the Dead Sea Scrolls, the sons of Zadok, they were going by the heavenly markers, the scroll written in the Shamayim, giving us the yearly markers, all these things that we have just previously read all throughout Scripture. We don't see anywhere where there's a Saturday or a Wednesday, or, when you see the sign, go ahead and wait for a Wednesday. Add a week here or there. We see none of that. So Enoch 74:12, and the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto everlasting. So here again, another clue that the sun, the stars, they're the ones that determine the year exactly. And of course the moon is used as well. And Sister Marissa went over all of that. But we see this, it's unto everlasting, meaning no matter what, they're going to be up there determining our years. So all the talk about, the fake sun and the fake stars and things like that, the luminaries are heavenly bodies. Satan has no authority over anything in the heavens. So he can try his best to, conceal and cover them up down here on the earth. But we see they're going to be a sign everlasting. And he can't cover up the actual luminaries that are up there. So continuing. So, but complete the year with perfect justice in 364 days. And to back that up, we have Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verses 17 through 19. It is he who gave me true knowledge of the forces of nature, what the world is made of, and how the elements behave, how the calendar is determined by the movements of the sun, the changing seasons, and the constellations, the stars, and the cycles of the years. So in Enoch 74, what we just read, the sun and stars bring in the year. The moon is not mentioned in this verse at all. But this is also supported by Wisdom of Solomon 7:17 through 19. It's the sun and the stars that determines the calendar. They are the main two witnesses. The moon is also the third witness for it all. It works together, all in correlation. It's really beautiful and amazing. But this is more evidence that the author's false insertions of moon phases in the Mishmarot are incorrect in bringing in the years, and that the verses all around Enoch 74:12 all state that the moon will be off 10 days every year and only has a 354-day cycle in a year, proving the translations that falsely insert moon here in Enoch 74:12 are in error. So how can the moon bring in a 364-day year when it only has 354? Not to mention the plural they do not advance or delay is a big clue as well, as when moon is inserted falsely, it still says they in that phrase for the singular word moon. Big clue. And then we have Enoch 82:4 through 7. So Baruch are the righteous. Baruch are all those who walk in the way of righteousness and do not sin as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days, in which the sun traverses the Shamayim, entering in and departing from the portals for 30 days, with the heads of the thousands of the orders of the stars. There we see the sun and the stars again. Together with the four, which are intercalated, which divide the four portions of the year, so the 4 seasons of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them, the men shall be at fault and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Also, men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately. So, for they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded forever. So where are they reckoned at? One is in the first portal, one in the third, one in the fourth, and one in the sixth. And the year is complete in 364 days. And the count thereof is accurate, the count of what? The sun and the stars. And the recorded reckoning thereof exact. For lights and months and festivals and years and days. And Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Adon of the whole creation of the world has subjected the hosts of the Shamayim. And we also have Enoch 75:1 through 2. And the leaders of the heads of the thousands of the stars, who are placed over the whole creation and over all the stars, have also to do with the 4 intercalary days, being inseparable from their office, according to the reckoning of the year. And these shall render service on the 4 days which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year. And that's why they're the 31st day every 3rd month. They're numbered 31, although they are not counted. And owing to them, men go astray therein. For those lights truly render service on the world's stations. And one in the first portal, one in the third portal of the Shamayim, one in the fourth portal, and one in the sixth portal. And the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364 stations. So there again we see the 4 intercalary days at the just before or at the end of each season. So Job chapter 9 verses 7 through 10. Who commands the sun, and it does not rise? And he seals up the stars, stretching out the Shamayim by himself, and treading upon the waves of the sea. Who made Ash, or Arcturus, Kesil, which is Orion, and Kima, or Pleiades, in the rooms of the south? Who performed great and unsearchable deeds and wonders without number? And Job 38:31 through 33. Do you bind the bands of Kimna, or Pleiades, or loosen the cords of Kesel, which is Orion? also speaking about his belt there. So do you bring out the constellations in its season? Or do you lead the bear, which is Ursa Major, with its sons, or the Big Dipper? Do you know the laws of the Shamayim? Or do you apply their rule over the earth? So the laws of the Shamayim and applying their rule here on earth. Well, that's what we were just reading in Jubilees. Applying the laws of the luminaries to the calendar. Not the laws of men, not the laws of, Pope Gregory or any Roman ruler. So the calendar is determined by the movements of the sun and the stars, as we can see all throughout scriptures. They determine the years, where they begin and end. We cannot trust Rome or the synagogue of Hasatan to have kept Yahuah's true Sabbath day or calendar. In all of our studies, we have found through scriptures the Shabbat day is not always on a Saturday. And in fact, you will not find the word Saturday in scriptures at all. The divider day every year is what separates the years and divides the numbering of days, perfectly matching the markers and the heavenly signs Yahuah has given us to determine these things. And also remember these verses in Ezekiel and Amos that show the 4 heads of the 4 seasonal months are Shabbat days, just like the weekly Shabbat. No work, buying, or selling. The days Noah ordained in Jubilees as a memorial. And this is showing us that there is never more than 7 days between Shabbat days. And I just have Ezekiel 46:1 and Amos 8:5-6 there again, just as a reminder. And Enoch 72:4-6. And first there goes forth the great light named the sun. Its circumference is like the circumference of the Shamayim, and he's quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the Shamayim and returns to the north in order to reach the east. And I know we read this earlier, but we're reading it again because we have to cover this as well. So in verse 5 of Enoch 72, we could see it's showing the sun and how it enters into that portal of heaven right there in the north. It shines in heaven. And where is heaven? Where's the throne? Right there in the center where Mount Zion is in the north. And then in the same way, he rises in that great 4th portal. So we're seeing 2 portals, one in heaven, which is the yearly divider, then the other is the great 4th portal, which is starting the monthly count. And Enoch 72:32. So on that day, night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly to its days, 364. So we also have to remember Enoch was taken to where Yahuah was. And where is that? In the north. So this equal day, equal night that we're seeing here, the night being equal to the day, is the sun coming up from the south. And right there in the north, Marissa went over it pretty well actually, but the day before the equinox, you will see it will have that equal day or equal light and equal darkness. Really amazing. And specifically from the location in the north. So here in Enoch 72, we see he is defining the day before the equinox. As Enoch was taken to the north and was able to see the equal day and night from Yahuah's position. This is that heavenly marker for the divider day each year. As mentioned before, Enoch is describing the cycle of the sun, the moon, and the stars each year. And he was also taken above the he was taken above the refraction or the bending of light, which is caused by the great amount of water in our atmosphere. So if those who don't understand what refraction is, so if you get a glass of water and you put like a pencil or marker in it, it's not only going to bend that pencil, but it's going to magnify it as well. And that's what's known as refraction. So this is why the equilux will vary depending on your geographical location and isn't the proper sign to use. So the Zadok priestly calendar, Yahuah's luminary calendar, it consists of a 364-day year divided into 7-day weeks in 12 months of 30 days each, except for one extra day in the last month of each quarter, 4 times a year, those 4 intercalary days. The calendar accommodates the 365.24 days of the solar cycle. And the 4 seasons are spring, summer, fall, and winter. And when the 364 count has been accomplished, as instructed by Enoch, Jubilees, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, you will arrive with an extra day for the physical year every year, and another day on the leap years. And this cycle repeats continually. The divider days are not counted as part of the 7-day week or numbered. They are just simply lived. This is why we live in a 365.24 day world, but count 364 days to do as Enoch has commanded for the calendar. The calendar accounts for the full year of 365.24 days with the divider day. The great sign of the sun starts the count of the 364 days after that spring equinox, thus keeping the calendar on season every year. Day 1 of month 1 will always be on the 4th day of the 7th day creation week, which is marked by the spring equinox the day prior. It is not the Wednesday of the Roman or the Jewish calendar. This true sequence of the 4th day recognizes the creation of the sun, as read in Genesis, on the 4th day of creation, and it's marked by a sign, that straight line shadow. The biblical day starts at sunrise, recognizing the creation of light, not the beginning of darkness. It's not possible for the Saturday of today to be the 7th day Shabbat continually, week after week, and year by year, because Yahuah's counting starts from the spring equinox as 0, not a Gregorian weekday. The spring equinox will always mark that divider day. This is important to note. The weekly 7th day, the Shabbat, is a day that was made holy, Kodesh, set apart. It's not Saturday, marked on the Roman Jewish calendars. So the 7th day Shabbat is on a fixed day of the week, on the Zadok 364-day counted calendar. It's exactly 52 weeks, not 52 weeks and 2 days, as with the Julian or Gregorian calendar, and never 53 weeks of 7 days, as with other styles of Zadok calendar that are out there. This day celebrates the creation's 4th day on which Yahuah Elohim made the luminaries. The divider day is not counted after the 364 day is complete for the full year. So to summarize the calendar, the 4 seasonal header days are, as per Enoch 74, 1-2, these are the leaders of the chiefs of thousands, which are over all of creation and over all the stars, with the 4 which are added and never separated from the place allotted to them, according to the complete calculation of the year. These are the 31st days, or seasonal divider days, and they will always be on day 3 of the week. The 4 Tekufas, as per Jubilees 6, the Rosh Hodesh, or the Ha Hodesh, the 4 Noah ordained days, are the days that follow after these intercalary days. And they are always on the first month, always on day 4 of the week. Always on the first of the month. The seasonal divider days serve 4 days, which are not calculated in the calculation of the time of the year. And respecting them, men greatly err. For these luminaries truly serve in the dwelling place of the world, 1 day in the first gate, the winter solstice, 1 in the third gate, autumn equinox, 1 in the fourth gate, which is the spring equinox, 1 in the sixth gate, summer solstice, and the harmony of the world becomes complete every year, 364th state of it. So we see the head of the months, they begin after the spring equinox. And then afterwards, day 1 of month 1 begins, which is marking day 4 of the week. Then the sun starts to progress over the darkness, and for 30 days proceeds from gate 4 with 10 parts light and 8 parts dark. And then month 2, the sun proceeds from gate 5 with 11 parts light, 7 parts dark for 30 days. Then month 3, the sun proceeds from gate 6 with 12 parts light, 6 parts dark for 30 days. Then we have the Chodesh seasonal header day of the summer solstice, one of the 4 intercalary days. And then month 4, the sun proceeds from gate 6 with 12 parts light, 6 parts dark for 30 days. Month 5, the sun proceeds from gate 5 with 11 parts light and 7 parts dark for 30 days. Month 6, the sun proceeds from gate 4 with 10 parts light and 8 parts dark for 30 days. Then we get the second intercalary day, the Chodesh seasonal header day, which is the autumn equinox, with 9 parts light, 9 parts dark. And the sun rises directly east on that day as well. Month 7, the sun proceeds from gate 3 with 8 parts light and 10 parts dark for 30 days. Then month 8, the sun proceeds from gate 2 with 7 parts light and 11 parts dark for 30 days. Month 9, the sun proceeds from gate 1 with 6 parts light, 12 parts dark for 30 days. Then we get the third seasonal header day. And then month 10, the sun proceeds from gate 1 with 6 parts light and 12 parts dark for 30 days. Month 11, from gate 2 with 7 parts light and 8 parts dark, 30 days. Then month 12, the sun proceeds from gate 3 with 8 parts light and 10 parts dark for 30 days. And that's where we get that 4th seasonal header day that comes in there, the 31st day of the 12th month. Then the sun goes down from the Shamayim and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to that portal and shines in the face of the Shamayim, the divider day, which is that straight line shadow. Then afterwards, the Chodesh header day. This is the head of the months, day 4, gate 4, progressing 10 parts light, 8 parts dark, as it repeats forever. And I actually did not notice, but I need to add that 4th seasonal header day in right there. I just noticed it was missing. And that's all I have for this part. But as you can see, if you keep scrolling down in the article, this is where we're going to get into, Saturday was not the 7th day in history. And of course, when you go to the top of the page here, I have all the chapters here. You can click on whichever one, and it will take you directly to whatever chapter you like. So, for example, if you want to go chapter 2, you just click on it, and there it goes. So yes, please feel free to read, study, and test all this out for yourselves as well. And, as we can see, and as we have found in our fellowship here, all of this lines up with scriptures, and it lines up with the heavenly scrolls themselves. It's truly amazing. And it's going to be even more amazing when Sister Marissa is able to share what she has found in part 3 as well. So all praise to the Most High.